Okay, so today we're going to do Automator. Automator is a program that's been around for about 15 years. And one of the challenges when Apple created the graphic user interface, or at least popularized the graphic user interface, one of the challenges was that things that you used to be able to do simply and repetitively, that computers did really well, disappeared. So things like you could do from the command line with DOS. And somebody at Apple had this bright idea of, well, why don't we introduce this technology back into the system? And that was something called Apple Script, which is, I'm planning to do a session on it, but you still need to have an element of programming nous to it. And they introduced Automator, which is, as you'll see today, the ability to take little building blocks, almost like a jigsaw puzzle, and start to automate certain processes that you might do on a regular basis that are repetitive and boring, but the computer can do really well, do it reliably and predictably every time. So that's what we're going to cover. So I'm going to kick straight in and share my screen. Okay, so there are two things that are in your OS now, which were actually started life in Automator, and I don't even know if you know they exist. But if I've got a series of images over here, one of the things that I can do is rename these in the Finder. Now, if I select all of them and I right-click on them, one of the options here is to rename the 16 items. So if I choose rename, I get a little pop-up dialog box that tells me, do I want to replace text? Do I want to add text? Do I want to maybe change the format of the text? So I'm just going to add some text before the name, and I'm going to leave that as edited, click rename, and bang, it's renamed all the files. Now, I don't know whether you know your Mac can do that. It can, and now you know it can. But this started life as an Automator action. There's another thing that's built into the system. If I select all of these again and show the preview pane, I don't even know where the menu is because I use the keyboard command all the time. Do you see down here, create PDF? If I click create PDF, it's just taken all 16 of those files and turned it into a PDF in one fell swoop. Now, these all started life as Automator commands. And why would we use Automator and not something like this? Well, Automator will let us chain a series of these things together, a whole series of workflows. So let's get straight into it. I'll go to my applications folder and look for Otto the Automator. If I double click on him, so we're going to create a new Automator file. Okay, so just before I start, I'm just going to give you an example. We're going to do 4 examples over here. And hopefully one of these is something that will meet your needs. But also during the process, I'm going to go through different ways of doing these different things. It'll become quite clear. I know I'm sounding a little bit vague at the moment, but we're going to modify images. We're going to take some text and turn it into an audio file. We're going to extract some text from PDFs. And then we're going to have a bit of fun with photos. So when you start up Automator, you have an Automator, what's called a workflow. And a workflow is a series of actions that pass information from one action to the other, to the other, to the other, and I will demonstrate them. But before we start, we have to choose what kind of Automator document we're going to create. Now, a standard workflow is just a document, and a document that can be run inside Automator. So if Automator is running and you've chained together a series of actions, you open it, you click run, it'll do the task. But you can also make applications that you can double click and run and will perform that automation function. You can also create quick actions, and this little file down here, this little guy down here, the create PDF, that is a quick action. So you could access that in the Finder, you could access it in your touch bar. Print plugins typically work on PDFs. You know, the print dialog box. Can I access print dialog box from here? No, I can't. Let me just open up a file quickly. If I choose print here, down here, this is where you can add your workflow actions. So if you wanted to print a PDF, but you want to reduce it in file size while you're printing it, that's something we can do over here. And we'll go through all of these as we proceed. A folder action, you can take the workflows that you're creating over here and attach it to a folder so that if you drop any files into that folder, it'll automatically happen. You can attach it to a calendar alarm. So this is a way of automating something to happen at a particular time on a particular day, or even a repeating event with calendars. So you can say, every Monday morning at 9 a.m., I want you to do this workflow action. Image capture is also, it's an application that was in Mac OS 10, the very first version. When it first started out, that was the only way we could get images into the Mac. There was no such thing as iPhoto, but it's hung around. So if you want to import pictures from a scanner, from a camera, but then you wanted to do something to those images as part of the import, we can do it from there. And you can also have it as a voice activated command. But we're going to concentrate on the first three over here and folder actions, really depending on the amount of time that we've got to work on it. So I'm going to create a standard workflow. And then on the left-hand side, we've got our library of actions. Each action is an event that can receive input and pass input somewhere else. We can view our actions in two forms, one by category and one by application. And the way we switch them is by arrange actions by application or category. So if I click category, you'll see we've got calendar events. If I take something like, let's say mail over here, you can see these are mail actions, but there's also a reminder action in there. If we go to photos, there are preview actions, there are pixelmator actions, there are quartz filter actions. So you can view these however it suits you. I'm going to switch back to arranging actions by application for the moment. So if we were to have a look at these, if I click on mail, you'll see that there are a number of actions like get new mail, make a new mail message, send birthday greetings. If I click on the Finder, I can do things like copy Finder items, launch an application. If I go to Pixelmator, which is an application that I've installed, oh, and by the way, what you will see in that library over there will be determined by what apps you've got installed on your machine. So there are a bunch of base applications or bunch of base actions that come as part of the operating system, but the programs you buy might also have Automator actions built into them. So if you install an app that has an Automator action built in, so for example, Pixelmator will allow me to watermark images, and I'll demonstrate that later. Transmit is an internet application for sending, uploading, and downloading files using a format called FTP, and they will just automatically appear over there. So enough messing around. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to do is Craig, our graphics guy, tends to not like the artwork I do for our workshop, so he wants to do his own because he's a much better artist than me. The only downside is he keeps on sending me these really huge files. If you look at this guy, it's 1300. Can I make this a bit bigger? It's 1134 pixels by 1134 by 1134. And when I upload these to Quicket, they need to be about 600 by 600. So that's a real pain. So I used to go through them one by one, but now I've got an Automator action that converts them to 600 by 600 for me. Now, if I don't know, I'm sorry, let's just going back to this one more time. If I click on an action, I get a little description of what this action does. Okay, but if I don't know what the action is, I've got a little search field. So what I want to do is I want to get some items that are in the Finder. So if I type get, well, it's just showing me the text edit stuff over here. But if I choose the entire library and I type get, and let's say selected, I can get selected computers, contacts, get selected find items. So I'm going to drag this into the middle over here. And all this will do is get the selected find items. So if I select some find items over here and I run it, well, it tells me it worked. That's great, but how do I know that it's worked? Here we go. If I show my results, you can see it's got those items. If I just choose 3 of them and I run it again, it shows me those 3. So I can always check as I'm going step by step by step by step. Now, these files are all 1134 pixels by 1134. Just in case I make a mistake, I don't necessarily want to damage the original. So I want to work on duplicates. So I'm going to make an action that says duplicate files. Oh, duplicate find items. And I'm going to drag this below. And you see this little link over here. This tells me that the information from here is going to be passed to the information over here. Well, let's see what that looks like. I'm going to select them all. I'm going to run it. And it's duplicated them all. So you can see automated copy, templates copy, but it's done nothing to them other than duplicate them. So I'm just going to select these guys and delete them because I don't want them anymore. And that's immediately made that for me. But now I'm just going to delete that action because what I want to do is I want to scale these images down. So I'm going to say, okay, scale images. There we go, scale images. I drag this down. Now, this makes a nonsense of the previous action that I did, because every action that you do that will make dramatic changes to the files that you're working on, Automator will offer to make duplicates for you. So I'm going to say, oh yeah, great, add these. This action will change these image files. Do you want to add a copy find action? So yes, please. Okay, so it says, okay, where do I want to copy them to? Now, I happen to have created a folder earlier. I've got originals, it's open copies. And I want it to go to copies. So I can click here and say choose, but drag and drop also works. So I'm going to take the copies icon there. I'm going to just drag it over the word desktop. And now you see it's going to move it to copies. And I want to scale these images, and I want to scale them to 600 by 600. Okay, that's the size that I want them. So let's see what that looks like. Have I got everything in there? Let's click run. Oh, what happened? I hadn't selected my files. Okay, let's click run again. And here are my copies. And if we open this up a little bit bigger, 600 by 600. If I do a quick look at these, 600. Quick look at this guy, much, much bigger. So now with this setup, all I have to do is select my files, click run, and I'm pretty good to go. Well, what if I want to do other stuff? What if I want to maybe put a kind of filter on it somehow, maybe make them black and white? So there is technology, the graphics technology in the Mac is called Quartz. And this will allow us to apply filters, to convert PDFs. So I'm just going to drag this down over here. Now, I've already made a duplicate, so I don't have to make a duplicate again. And here's a Quartz filter. So this time I'm going to just make them black and white. So it's going to get my images, make copies, then scale them to 600 and make them black and white. Okay, let's just select them all and run it again. And now if I open them up, sure as eggs, they're black and white. So I hope you're starting to get the picture of what this can do for you. And I'm just going to do one more item to this particular workflow before I move on to the next one. And that's to show you how a third-party application can add value to this. So if I go to Pixelmator, which is like a Photoshop clone, if you like, but maybe at a tenth of the price, which really works for me. It's saying, okay, I want to watermark this image. So I watermark the images that I'm passing through to, and I want to apply this watermark to every single filter. So I've got a little Digicape logo over here, and I'm going to drag that down there. And I want this watermark to appear in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, so let's run that again. Black and white with the Digicape logo in exactly the same spot in each file. So I hope you get the idea of what this can actually do to creating a workflow. Now, this is nice, but I have to go to the Finder and I have to select these items every single time I want to do it. So one of the things that I can do is I can make a new workflow, but instead of it being an action that I have to have an Automator open to, I can turn it into an application. So I'm going to make this an application. And to save us typing out everything again, I'm just going to go to my workflows. I'm going to select all here, copy them, and I'm going to paste them in. Let me. No. I promise you that this worked in my demo earlier. Oh, there we go. Don't add, don't add. So get selected, find the items, copy find the items, scale the image, apply the Quartz filter, and let's watermark the images as well. Don't add. And now let's save that. And we'll save this as a workflow to the desktop. And we'll call this resize. Pop it on the desktop. Now, because it's an application and the Mac is pretty heavy with the security, it may ask me for permission to run the first time I run it. There you are. I've made my, my little file over there. So I've got these files selected. I can double click on it. Yep, allow, allow. And I was trying to work so fast that I've obviously made an error in it. But the point is, I should be able to select these files. There's probably an error in my file, in my working over there. That works? Okay, my apologies. But there we go, work's done. I didn't do the watermark with all of them, but you get the picture. I wanted to rush through because I'm conscious of time. There's a number of other items that I want to go through. So that's automating images. What if I wanted to, let me set a scenario for you. You're in a taxi, you're reading an article, and it's very interesting. You get to your destination, but you want to carry on listening to this. So you're going to a place where there's no internet, and you want to listen to this. It's a long article. So one of the things we can do is we can convert text to audio. So let's build a new workflow. I've got an article over here that we'll come back to. So if we go to Automator, we'll make a new workflow. And this one, the first thing I want to do, I'll just make it a workflow to start off with. I want to get specified text. So let's just say get text and get specified text. So this is one way of doing it. And then we have an action that says text to audio file. Now, there are many voices inside your Mac. I've got Fiona.
Isn't it nice to have a computer that will talk to you?
Nice Scottish voice. We've got Alex.
Isn't it nice to have a computer that will talk to you?
But I like Fiona. Fiona, Scottish voice, Shrek. Yep. But now, if I'm going to be dragging lots and lots of audio files over here, I want to be able to name that file every time I do it. You know, if I click Save As and give it a file, say audio file, and I save it to the desktop, that doesn't give me anything to work with. So one of the options that we've got is to show this action when the workflow runs. Okay, so now I'm going to run this file. I've got no audio there. So if I go to my web browser, and I could copy and paste this in, but I've got all this stuff down the side. And for those of you who've been on our Safari Power Tips, you know, if I click on the reader view, I get rid of all of that stuff. So I can get copy, paste the text in there. And now if I run it, it's going to ask me, because I've told it to show this action when the workflow runs, it's popping up this file. I'm going to say CEO secrets. Save it to the desktop. You can see it running down here, text to audio file, and it's done. So let's just minimize this. And here's my audio file.
CEO secrets, what I learned from leaders' behavior off camera. Amy Golding is CEO of Opus and a recent guest on CEO Secrets for 5 years now.
So that entire article has been turned to a text file. Now, can you imagine maybe getting a long series of emails or a contract that you want to proofread, but your eyes are going cross-eyed because you've been watching it for so long, you've been reading so long? What about proofreading a document that you've had? So one of the other choices that we can do is, instead of getting specified text, I'm just going to delete this guy, is you can get the contents of the clipboard. So I'm going to type clipboard here, get contents of a clipboard, and I'm going to add this to the top. So now, when I go to this article, Safari, All I'm going to do is going to read a view, select all, choose copy. Okay, let's hide this away. Now it's in clipboard, it's in memory. Let's run it. CEO Secrets 2. There's my file.
CEO Secrets, what I learned.
And now I can do this with any file. I don't have to get the contents of the clipboard. If I've got a text file over here, I can just go all, copy, run it again. Call this room 32. Running. This is slightly longer.
Room 32. The account below was found among the papers of Hans de Julis, who died suddenly outside the Prado Museum in Madrid, while on holiday.
And once again, I can change the voice and run this. Call this room 32 Alex.
Room 32. The account below was found among the papers of Hans.
Okay, so again, this is another way we can use our machine. Repetitive things. If there's articles I want to read, just turn them into a sound file, pop it onto your iPhone. Lots of things we can do with this. Okay, next thing I want to do, extracting text from a PDF. So this workflow, we're going to create a quick action, because this might be something that I want to just select in the Finder and have it generate automatically. So I'm going to choose quick action. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for Finder items. So let's just say ask Finder items. Okay. So we can have a prompt to choose a Finder item. This is one way that we can do it. Excuse me. And I can allow for multiple selections as well. And actually, I'm going the wrong way about this. I'm not going to do a quick action first. Sorry, I'm just going to run this as a workflow and then show you how to turn this into a quick action. So let's ask for Finder items. Drag you in. And I want to allow for multiple selections. Maybe I will, maybe I won't select more than one item. And then if I type extract, extract PDF text. Okay, so let's move this off to the side and I'll click run and I get an open dialog box. Okay, I want to go to my Automator demo files and I've got a PDF over here that has some text in it. Excuse me. In fact, this one's probably even better because it's a 16-page document. Oh wait, maybe I'll do all of them. So I hold the command key down, I select all of these, click choose, and if you watch the desktop, you'll see 3 text files appear with the text extracted from all of those documents. Here's the deployment workshop, here's the iOS Essentials workshop. So that's nice, but I don't necessarily want to run Automator every time I do that. So this time, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to make this as a quick action. And now I don't have to select anything because it's going to appear in my Finder window. So if I choose extract, PDF text, this is the settings. I can add a page header, a page footer. I can save it to the desktop. I can choose where to save it from, but I'm happy with this. So now instead of running it, I'm going to save this. And I'm going to call this extract text. Now I can close this down. And if I open up a folder that's got some PDFs in it, if I select it, down in the bottom right-hand side over here, where we had our create PDF, it's made a service for me. If I click on this, let me just move these so that there's no confusion and you don't think I'm cheating. I choose extract text. There we go. It's extracted the text from that PDF. Let's delete that one. If I choose the DPP deployment, DPP booklet, click extract text. So now this is available system-wide. Anytime I've got a folder that's got PDFs in, I can extract the text from them, and that's fine. All good to go. So the last thing I want to show you is, this is a little bit of fun. Let's say you're having a party and you want to take photographs of people let people take photographs of themselves during the course of the party. It's quite a nice thing to do, set it up on your MacBook. So let's switch to Automator and make a new workflow. And we can make this as an application which will run, but let's leave it as a workflow at the moment, just it's simpler. So one of the things that we can do is ask for text. And this will prompt a dialog box up on the screen for the person. Say, please, can I take your picture? Okay. Now, this is where we're going to start to use variables. Now, variables is a programming term. If I make the picture the same name every time, that's not going to help. I want people to put their names in there so that I know once the photograph's been taken, who the photograph was of. So I say, please put your name here. And I'm going to be insistent. I insist on an answer. So I only want to touch on this, and if you guys are really interested in this, I'm going to be happy to do more advanced Automator actions. But variables allow you to take text, which is repetitively used, but replace it every time with the text that somebody types in. So I'm going to type variable in here, and I want to set the value of the variable. Now, I want to make a new variable, and I want to call this name. Okay. And I click done. And you see, once I've created this, you'll see a little variable. And this is a little placeholder. So anytime somebody puts their name in there, it will replace this variable with whatever they type. Okay, you'll see it happen. So now I want to take a snapshot. And I've got some options here. I can save it as video snapshot TIFF. And this is going back to what I was saying earlier. I don't want every single picture, because this is going to happen in a loop. I don't want every picture to be called video snapshot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the word video snapshot, and I'm going to take this variable and I'm going to drag it up into the name. Okay. And I want to save it to a folder called pictures. So I'm going to make a new folder on my desktop. Okay. And just like I did before, I'm going to drag it up here. So now it's going to go into pictures. And I want the picture to be taken automatically. Okay, so we're good to go. And for fun, let's apply a Quartz filter. Don't add that. And let's take comic book. Oh no, pencil, color pencil. Color pencil is really nice. And yeah, that's it. So we take a picture, set the name, take the photograph, apply a filter, and then we want it to loop again. So let's choose loop. And with the loop command, we want it to loop automatically, but we don't want it to run forever. So let's say 30 minutes, like a short party, maybe 180 minutes, maybe all night long. So if I run this, let's open up pictures so that you can see that it's doing it. There's my little guy. So if I run this, you see over here, please, can I take your picture? Okay, this is Busy Bee. Okay. There's the camera. And there's the Busy Bee picture. Okay, so let's take another one. That one's fun. Hope there's nothing in those messages I'm going to regret. So this goes on and on and on. Now, how can we use this in a party? Now, you know how you can use your Apple TV to use screensaver photographs, or you can set your own screensaver. What if I set the screensaver on this computer or on my Apple TV to be the pictures folder? So I'm going to go to desktop and screensavers, go to my screensaver, and I want to change the screensavers. So let's say I want it to be maybe the photo wall. Okay, that's fine. But the source Come. I don't want the source to be landscapes. I want the source to be my pictures folder. And there you can see my little busy bee and my phone. So as people come to the party and they take photographs, more and more photos appear over here. And if you set the screensaver to kick in automatically and you've got a projector, you've got a wall with everybody's picture on, with pictures being displayed on the wall. It used to be a little bit more fun because there was a screensaver that Apple had that used to take the name and put it over the image. So if you weren't sure of people's names, you could just have a look at the photo on the wall, and you can see what people's names were. But now you can use all of these images, shifting tiles, there's my busy bee, there's origami, we can fold, and we can just set this up as a screensaver. People can come back here later, take another photograph, go screensaver will kick in a minute, and then just project it up onto the wall is everybody's picture. So that's it for Automator. I hope you found this interesting. I hope it kicked off some ideas that you might be able to use for yourself. Stop sharing my screen and throw it up into questions. Come on, guys. The name of this thing is Interactive Digital Broadcasts. It's built into the name. You need to talk to me. Cameron?
Me.
Yeah.
I was just saying, are you able to, like for the picture workflow, are you able to somehow get it from your Mac to your phone? Can you airdrop it, or can you?
Yeah,
like,
you can look. You can choose. You can send it to Photos, and then have that. If your photo library is syncing automatically, absolutely. I'm sure there's more than 4 or 5 different ways of doing the same thing. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I'm happy to talk to you about it. Carolyn, surely you've got a question for me.
Yeah, I always have a question, but I must admit I consider myself quite an advanced Apple user, but not anymore after this session. Thanks, Alan. I definitely didn't know this. And
Yeah.
I over the moon excited to go and apply it.
Fantastic. There's lots of tutorials on the web. This is going to be uploaded obviously later today. So if you want to go through and have a look at the steps and see what options there are, so you can try it out for yourself. It's usually a good idea to have an idea what you want to do in the first place, and then see whether Automator has the actions to create them for you, rather than just fiddle around, because otherwise you just fiddle around. Have a plan, have a project in mind, and often you can get some really nice stuff done.
Of course.
Hi, Alan. Yes. I use iOS shortcuts. I presume this is actually the same thing, isn't it?
Well, this predates shortcuts by something like 12 years. And I've got a sneaky feeling that shortcuts is going to replace Automator within the next couple of years, if we see how macOS and iPadOS seem to be moving together. But shortcuts follows a very, very similar jigsaw puzzle workflow process. So if you familiarize yourself with Automator, then absolutely you'll be well placed to use shortcuts on the Mac if and when it comes to the Mac. But it's been around for well over, I think it was introduced around about Leopard or Lion. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And I think we've had a couple of sessions on shortcuts for iOS. If anyone has particular interest in us revisiting it, please let us know. So my daughter's been tantalizing me. She's had a cooking lesson today and she's got gnocchi for supper, but these smells have been wafting through the house. So I'm going to go and make my lunch, guys.
Enjoy.
It's been delightful having you here. We're going to do numbers on iOS and iPadOS tomorrow. It's a great app, and hopefully we'll see you here tomorrow. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining us yet again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alan. Very interesting.
Thanks. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.